You know me, I know her, she knows him, I want to know something from him, I want to do business with her, she's a friend of you. Networking is absolutely key if you're a small business person or an entrepreneur. My name is Lynn Hinderrocker, and thanks for joining us here on NxBizSuccess. This is all about networking, so important to especially the self-employed accountant, the attorney, salesperson, investor, broker, whatever. And here to talk with me today, my guest is Steve Brewer. Steve is a professor with College of St. Mary's in the Omaha and Lincoln, Nebraska area. Steve, welcome to NxBizSuccess.
Thank you.
And you're an expert on networking. We've talked about it somewhat. It's an interesting subject. There seems to be a proliferation of networking groups. Is that correct?
Yes, because networking doesn't have a formal definition, so it sort of means what people want it to mean. So yes, we have lots of different networking events and groups out there.
Absolutely. And just for the record, I mean, not everybody is an active networker, although it seems like everybody's getting into it more and more. But tell us, what does it mean to network actively? What is network really?
Okay. To me, networking would be, it's a form of marketing where you focus on getting outside of your office and having personal interactions, one-to-one interactions or group interactions with people, and with the idea that you are making new contacts, people knowing you, with the eventual idea that this will bring revenue, will bring additional business.
All right, so it's a marketing and a public relations tactic, essentially, right?
Sure.
All right. Does it take the place of traditional paid advertising or media or submitting press releases to media outlets? Do we do this instead of that or in addition to, or what?
A lot of companies that have always done those traditional forms of marketing then supplement it with networking.
Okay.
But I also see on the small business side, because we're talking a lot about small business today,
right,
a lot of small businesses who have never done those other forms of marketing, who have not ever done advertising, who have not ever done direct marketing.
So they've been kind of anonymous, basically.
Yeah, they are trying to use networking as their first marketing strategy.
Okay. Now, there are different kinds of networks. We're going to talk about some of the mistakes that people make, because everybody has a general idea, but give me an example of different networks and why are they all the same or what?
Well, let's start off with a networking event. Okay. This would be probably the first place most people start networking. Your Chamber of Commerce has an event, or your city, or some kind of a business group has an event. People say, oh, you should go, you should network, and so you go.
Right.
And the mistake a lot of people would make is they figure, well, my job here is I'm going to force my business card on other people, and I'm going to tell you what I'm looking for and how you can help me.
Yeah. The boss comes along and says, hey, let's get some business out there. Get your cards out and go to some events. Yeah. And what's the matter with that?
The problem is a lot of times that doesn't work. Yeah. That you're seen as being just too forward and too pushy, and people go to those a lot of times to talk. Sometimes people just go to chat, and then you're sort of violating their purpose there. So typically, networking at events is more of an indirect form of marketing. You're trying to meet new people. You're trying to help them. How can you help them? How can you ask them about themselves? Hoping that eventually it comes back to help you.
Okay, now, hoping that eventually. Yes. I know lots of people that used to go to networking groups, maybe a Chamber of Commerce event or whatever, maybe a trade association group, and they don't go anymore. And their attitude is, everybody's trying to sell me something. Nobody wants to buy what I want to sell. Yeah. And so they become a little cynical about it. And yet, on the other hand, we both know people that have had enormous success. What's the difference between those two kinds of people?
I would say if you're the kind of person who wants direct results today, networking is probably not your best choice. Okay. You might want to use direct marketing, you might want to hire a salesperson and do personal selling, because those are more, you can measure the results tomorrow of what you did today.
And you can be overtly persuasive.
Yes. Everybody expects a salesperson who comes into your office to give you a sales pitch, to try to sell you a product.
All right.
Networking is more of a long-term approach. Okay. You're doing things today hoping that it will pay off next month or 6 months or even a year from now. If you're the kind of person who can't wait that long, maybe networking is not your best choice.
Okay. Or maybe the person that you're meeting at a networking event, it's not them ultimately you do business with. It could be somebody that you haven't met yet.
Yes. And in fact, that happens the majority of the time. The best results that come out of networking is you met a person who knew somebody else.
Okay. All right. Tell me some other things that people shouldn't do at these networking events, because networks have been around a long time. They seem to be more and more of them, but there also seem to be a lot of people that are disappointed with them. So what are some other things we should avoid?
I would avoid going to groups that are not right for you. I would think about who are the people you'd like to meet.
Okay.
Who are the people, maybe it's 10 people, I wouldn't go much more than about 25 people, who maybe they could buy from you, but maybe they would just be great referral sources, maybe they would just help you to become better known. So I'd write that list down. Who are the people I want to meet? Then I would think about, where are those people? Are they at certain events?
Okay.
Do they read certain newspapers and websites? Do they go to certain places? And then I would try to put myself in front of them at their preferred places. So I'd go to the events where people you'd like to meet are, versus going to an event because somebody invited you. That might not be the right event for you.
Okay, now let's say, for instance, we're at an event. All right, and I'm here to network, and my boss sent me, or I run my own small firm, and I need to generate some revenues, and I need to get out and meet people. Maybe I'm an introvert. Who knows? Right. So what do I do next? Do I say, "Hi, my name's Lynn, and here's my card," or how do you really get the thing going?
Sure. And you mentioned introvert. I actually am an introvert, so I can speak from experience on this one.
Okay.
I try, when I meet somebody at an event, I try to start by asking them about themselves, about their business. Well, what do you do? Well, really, who do you serve? How are things going? How are you affected by the economy? And I try to talk about them, because we all know everybody likes to talk about themselves.
And that takes the onus off of talking about yourself as an introvert. You don't have to do that. Yeah.
And then eventually most people will say, well, what about you? What do you do? Why are you here? And you then have more liberty to talk because you let them talk first. So I find that's an approach, is try to learn as much as you can, maybe ask for their card, but not necessarily offer yours unless it's requested.
Sure. So reciprocity.
Yes.
Mutuality.
And giving before you get.
Yeah. Now, there's some other things when you show up at these things, maybe you don't have a direct need, but you strike me as somebody that I could get along with or work with, and maybe we share similarities, we serve a common market or type of person out there. Do strategic alliances or little promotional or partnerships of some sort, is that a good reason?
I'm glad you brought that up. A strategic alliance would be an agreement that the two of us would have, where I would help your clients with what I do, you would help my clients with what you do.
Right.
So, for example, let's say you do websites and I do something else, and so you would
maybe
do
graphics or copywriting.
You do and graphic design. So then one company would do websites for my clients, you would do graphic design for my clients, and so it might not even be a written agreement at all. Lots of times it's just an informal agreement. And these are wonderful outcomes of networking, because it's lots of times, first of all, you're helping your own clients, and sometimes you're making money, you're making a finder's fee, and you're not actually doing any of the work. And that's a wonderful place.
You're a champion, an advocate, and a referrer as well.
Absolutely.
Well, Steve Brewer with College of St. Mary's in the eastern Nebraska area, thank you for sharing this. Everybody I know that's self-employed, professionals particularly, are talking about networks, and clicks for somebody, but after listening to this podcast, I'm sure many more people will do very well with it. This is NxBizSuccess. My name is Lynn Hinderacher. You've got to get out there and network. You've got to meet people. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Let's make sure you do it correctly. Keep on going and keep on growing.